Somewhere, right now, a room full of people is watching a stranger's brain light up on a screen. They are not doctors. There is no illness. The person in the scanner is simply looking at a picture of a chocolate bar, or a car, or a smiling face on a billboard, and the machine is recording which parts of the mind flicker awake. These watchers are not curious about the soul. They are curious about the sale. And the quiet, uncomfortable truth is this: the decision you think you make freely, at 2 in the morning with your thumb hovering over a button, was often shaped long before you arrived. This is the story of how that shaping works, and how you can learn to feel it happening. Let's begin with the machine you carry everywhere. Your brain runs on 2 systems, and understanding them unlocks everything else. Psychologists call them, simply, the fast one and the slow one. The fast system is ancient, automatic, effortless. It reads the emotion on a face before you know you've looked, and tells you in a fraction of a second whether something is safe or dangerous, pleasant or repellent, ours or theirs. The slow system is the one you think of as you. It reasons. It weighs. It reads the contract and asks whether you can really afford this. It is careful, wise, and almost always tired. Because it takes effort, and effort burns energy, your mind protects it, keeping the slow thinker asleep as long as possible and letting the fast one drive. Neuromarketing is, at its heart, the art of speaking only to the fast system while the slow one is looking the other way. Every technique we're about to name is a variation on that single move. Reach the part of you that reacts before the part that reflects can arrive. Consider the chemistry of wanting. For decades people believed dopamine was the pleasure chemical, the reward the brain hands out when something feels good. It turns out that was almost backwards. Dopamine is not the chemistry of pleasure. It is the chemistry of anticipation. It spikes not when you get the thing, but when you sense the thing is coming. This is why the most addictive experiences ever designed are not the ones that reward you every time. They are the ones that reward you unpredictably. The slot machine. The feed that refreshes. The notification that might be something wonderful, or nothing at all. The countdown timer, the loading bar, the mystery box, the phrase coming soon, are all engines for manufacturing anticipation. They are selling you the ache, not the answer, because the ache is where you are most willing to move. Now notice how a decision gets its shape before you even know a decision is being made. There is a phenomenon called priming, and it is subtler than it sounds. Your fast system leans on whatever happened a moment ago. Play French music in a wine shop, and sales of French wine quietly rise, while the shoppers swear the music had nothing to do with it. A warm color, a soft font, a particular smell pumped through a store's ventilation, none of these tell you to buy. They tell your fast system how to feel, and feeling comes first. By the time your slow, reasoning self shows up to justify the choice, the ground has already tilted. Then there is the trick of the first number. Economists call it anchoring, and it may be the most reliable lever in the entire toolkit. The mind does not know what things are worth. Worth is not a fact stored in the world, it is a comparison the brain builds on the spot. So whatever number it sees first becomes the anchor, the point against which everything else is judged. This is why the menu shows you a wildly expensive item you will never order, one placed there only to make everything beneath it feel reasonable. And it is why the price tag reads 200, crossed out, now 99. The 200 was never a real price. It was a number placed in your mind to make 99 feel like rescue. You did not save $100. You spent 99 you had not planned to spend, and you walked away feeling clever. Feeling clever is one of the products they are selling. Now let's talk about fear, because fear sells faster than desire. The human mind is not balanced in how it treats winning and losing. Losing hurts roughly twice as much as an equal gain feels good. This is loss aversion, and it is wired deep, a survival instinct from a world where loss could kill you. Marketing weaponizes it constantly. Only 3 left in stock. Sale ends at midnight. Don't miss out. Every one of these phrases reframes a purchase you don't need as a loss you must prevent. Scarcity does the same work from another angle. The moment something feels rare, the fast system upgrades its value, because throughout our history, rare meant precious and gone meant gone forever. A limited edition, a waitlist, an invitation only. None of these change the thing itself. They change the story your ancient brain tells about it, and the story moves your hand. And your hand watches other hands. We are a social species, and for a social species, the behavior of the herd is information. If a restaurant is full, it must be good. This is social proof, the quiet engine behind every review count, every subscriber number, every bestseller sticker, every line of people willing to wait. Your fast system reads the crowd and concludes, safe, chosen, correct. The most expensive thing a brand can buy is the appearance that everyone already agrees. Because once your mind believes the herd has moved, questioning it feels not just difficult, but dangerous. Now step back and look at the surfaces of the world, because they are engineered too. When researchers put shoppers in front of shelves and track their eyes, they discover that we do not read a package. We are captured by it. The gaze lands where color is boldest, where a face is looking, where contrast is sharpest, and it lands there in milliseconds, before thought. Brands will test dozens of versions of a label to find the one your eyes cannot help but touch first. They know that red raises your pulse, that blue whispers trust and calm, that a face turned toward you holds you a beat longer. And here is the deepest finding of all, a human face on a package draws your eyes, but if that face is looking at the product, your eyes follow its gaze to the product too. You are being pointed, gently, at what to want. But the most powerful tool is older than any of these, and you already know it, because it is the one your parents used on you. It is story. The brain does not store facts the way a ledger stores numbers. It stores meaning, and meaning arrives wrapped in narrative. A list of a product's features will slide off your memory like water off glass. But a story, a person who struggled and then was rescued by the thing, a before and an after, that lodges. When you hear a good story, your brain begins to simulate the events as if they were happening to you, lighting up the same regions that would fire if you lived them. This is why advertising abandoned the recitation of facts long ago. Facts speak to the slow system, and the slow system argues back. Stories speak to the fast system, and the fast system does not argue. It simply feels, and then it belongs. Which brings us to the myth at the center of all this. You have probably heard of the buy button, the idea that somewhere in the brain there is a single spot which, if pressed by the right advertisement, compels a purchase against your will. And it is not true. There is no buy button. What neuroscience actually offers marketers is far less cinematic and, in a way, more sobering. It offers measurement. When companies test an advertisement in a scanner, they are not implanting a command. They are asking a quieter question: which version holds attention longer, triggers more emotion, is more likely to be remembered tomorrow. They are not hacking your will. They are optimizing their odds, refining the bait one small experiment at a time until it fits the shape of a human mind a little more perfectly than before. You are not being controlled. You are being studied, and the study never stops. So the danger was never a single magic word that steals your freedom. It is subtler and more constant. It is an entire environment, patiently tuned to your reflexes, designed to keep your slow, careful self asleep just long enough for your fast self to act. The manipulation does not feel like manipulation. It feels like desire. It feels like your own idea. So how do you take your mind back? You do not win this by becoming cynical, suspicious of everything, exhausted by your own vigilance. That is just another kind of losing. You win it with one quiet discipline: you learn to wake the slow system on purpose. And the way you wake it is by inserting a pause. Almost every technique we have named depends on speed, on the gap between reflex and reflection being too small to notice. So make the gap bigger. When you feel urgency, that hot little push of now or never, treat the urgency itself as the signal. Real needs rarely expire at midnight. The feeling of a closing door is almost always manufactured, and simply naming it robs it of its power. Ask the small, deflating questions that the fast system hates. Would I want this if no one could ever see that I owned it? Would I want it at full price, with no timer, no crowd, no story attached? Where did this desire come from, and was it here an hour ago? These questions do not require willpower. They require only that you slow down enough to ask, because the mere act of asking hands the will back to the part of you that reasons. Learn the names of the tricks, because a named thing loses its spell. The moment you can look at a crossed-out price and think, that is an anchor, it stops anchoring you. The moment you can feel a countdown and think, that is loss aversion wearing a costume, the fear thins into something you can watch from a safe distance instead of something you are drowning inside. Awareness is not a wall that blocks persuasion. It is a light that lets you see the strings, and strings you can see are strings you can choose to ignore. None of this makes you immune. No one is immune, not the scientists who run these studies, not the marketers who design the traps, not the person telling you this now. The mind's shortcuts are not flaws to be ashamed of. They are the machinery that lets us move through a complicated world without collapsing under the weight of every choice. They are not going away, and they are not supposed to. But there is an enormous difference between a mind that is used and a mind that knows it is being courted. The goal was never to stop feeling. It was to notice, in the suspended second before you act, that a feeling was placed there on purpose, by someone who profits when you do not look too closely. That second is where your freedom lives. Not in never being tempted, but in the pause before the yes. Guard that pause. Widen it. Make it a habit, until slowing down becomes as automatic as the reflexes they built their empire upon. Because the most valuable thing you own is not your money, and it was never really the target. The target was your attention, and the quiet, sovereign right to decide, for yourself, what deserves it. Take it back. It was always yours.